They tell you to look inward, to find peace. But when you truly stop for 15 silent days, what you will find is not some fluffy enlightenment, you find the void. And let me tell you, it takes guts to right walking. Picture this, sitting perfectly still on a cushion for 15 days straight. No phone, no talking, no eye contact, just you, your breath, and a room full of other humans taking themselves terribly seriously as if the entire universe were waiting on our daily spiritual progress report.
It was the ultimate Hermetic setup. The ancient sage Hermes Trismegistus gave us the axiom: as above, so below, as within, so without. I went into the deep microcosm of my mind, fully expecting to decipher the grand macrocosm of the universe. But as the philosopher Ellen Watts used to point out, we often approach these retreats with a grim, exhausting conviction to find God or attain enlightenment. We rise at 4 on the morning, as of some celestial corporate office requires us to fill out daily timesheets of spiritual progress. It turns into a holiness contest. We sit there pretending that our frantic, agonizing doing actually ripples through eternity. But the real transformation wasn't about turning myself into a saint. It was about realizing the cosmic game we are playing and finally learning how to come off it. By day 5, the modern cult of seriousness catches up to you. We suffer from a strange performance anxiety. We demand a profound spiritual purpose for even our silence. We think if we just sit long enough, we will manufacture a breakthrough. There is an old Zen story about a monk who sat in continuous meditation, determined to become a Buddha. His master came over, picked up a clay brick, and started rubbing it vigorously with a cloth. The monk watched for hours before finally asking, "Master, what are you doing?" The master replied, "I'm rubbing this brick to turn it into a mirror." The monk laughed. "That's impossible. No amount of rubbing will make a brick mirror." And the master smiled. "Exactly. And no amount of sitting will turn you into a Buddha, because you already are that." Instead of realizing this, what do? We collect medals of suffering. We boast, even if only to ourselves, about how badly our legs ached, how cold the morning was, how hungry we were. We treat our misery like badges of valiant spiritual endeavor.
And that's when the real Jungian shadow work begins. When you strip away all external distractions, your repressed dark side doesn't just knock on the door, it kicks it down. In the absolute silence, the monsters of the deep rise to the surface. You are forced to meditate on the most creepy, crawly parts of your psyche, the horrible abysses of your deepest insecurities.
Just as the Hindu deity Shiva is wedded to the terrifying, destructive Kali, your true awakening requires seeing that the terror and the magnificence of your own mind are simply two faces of the exact same coin. This is the sacred union within.
By the first full week, you hit a vicious circle. You realize that every single step you take toward liberation becomes a new tire. You try so hard not to want anything, but you end up desperately wanting the state of not wanting. Ellen Watts described it perfectly. It's like heavy molasses in one hand and feathers in the other. The more frantically you try to pick the feathers off, the bigger the stickiness you make. You become to question your own motivation mystery. Why am I trying to purify my mind so hard? If you look closely, the motive is rooted in fear, usually, or in a desperate, sneaky desire to get one up on the universe and be the wisest, most enlightened person in the room.
You fall into the alertness trap. You are so busy being on the watch for enlightenment that you become like a sentry who is entirely occupied with thinking about being alert. While you are congratulating yourself on your vigilance, you become a sitting duck for the enemy. This is where the Hermetic laws of the Kybalion save my sanity, specifically the laws of polarity and rhythm. The law of polarity reminds us that suffering and joy are inseparable. They are the trough and the crest of the exact same wave. You cannot have to be without not to be. The law of rhythm teaches you to stop trying to permanently grab hold of the crest of peace. Life is a constant vibration. It is a waving of smoke. The moment you try to catch the smoke and lock it in a box, you destroy its beauty. I learned to trade the stiffness of a soldier for the grace of a dancer. I stopped trying to defend an ego that is as diaphanous and temporary as a cigarette cloud.
Then comes the turning point. It's the ultimate alchemical hack, mental transmutation. You aren't changing the world around you, you are changing your entire interpretation of it. You stumble into a profound truth that sounds like nihilism, but is actually pure clarity. Nothing matters. This isn't despair, it's the 500-year-old cheat code. It is seeing through the great pretending and realizing that the cosmic play was never meant to be taken so damn seriously. As the ancient Emerald Tablet hints, everything you are searching for is already operating beautifully in the unforced organic way of the universe.
Think of yourself like a radio. You are not the musician, nor are you the radio waves traveling through the air. You are simply the flexible diaphragm through which the music of the world vibrates. This poor little me character you play is just a mask, a persona through which a vast, indescribable cosmic energy is performing. To use a brilliantly absurd Zen anecdote championed by Watts, do you know what the most valuable thing in the entire world is? The head of a dead cat. Why? Because absolutely no one can put a price on it. It is totally and completely useless. In the exact same way, your true self is beautifully, wonderfully useless. It doesn't exist to fulfill a corporate purpose or achieve a spiritual metric. It exists purely for the fun of it. Which brings us to the absolute bottom line of the experience. There is nothing you can do to be liberated. Any deliberate effort to boost your ego through spiritual practice just delays the realization. The only real work, if you can even call it that, is to be completely aware of yourself exactly as you are right now, without any ounce of judgment. Just see what is. An unbreakable mind isn't a rigid brick wall that resists the storms of life. An unbreakable mind is one that has the courage to live lightly, to drop the act and to come off it. The entire 15-day retreat was ultimately a beneficent trick. The technique, the schedule, the teachers, they didn't hand me enlightenment. They pushed me into the water because I was too terrified to jump on my own. And once you are thrashing around in the deep end, you suddenly realize a profound truth. The waves already know how to crash perfectly well without your supervision. The universe runs itself. Your magnum opus, your great alchemical work, is not a grand, futuristic achievement. It is simply waking up to the quiet, breathtaking significance of being alive in this very moment. Eastern philosophy speaks of the Bindu, the absolute point of the eternal now. When you finally realize that you are the present moment, all boredom evaporates. The repetitive monotonous cycles of the retreat and of daily life stop feeling like a prison sentence and start feeling like a dance. It's the beautiful cosmic joke of the Ouroboros. The snake eating its own tail, I traveled out into the middle of nowhere, sat in agonizing silence for 15 days and endured mental loops of ancient lead, only to find myself right back at the exact place where I started. You don't need to transform yourself into gold, you just have to realize you were never led to begin with. The moment you stop trying to desperately to matter, you finally begin to shine. The retreat wasn't about finding something new, It was about discovering the radical courage to live lightly in a world completely obsessed with weight. If you missed part 1 of this trilogy, why enlightenment is actually far simpler than you've been told, click the link right here to watch it. It lays the foundation for everything we just discussed. But here is where we stand now. We have dissolved the illusion of the doer. We have cleared the slate, but nature abhors a vacuum. How do we rebuild our psychology from the first principles? How do we walk back into the noise of the 21st century and maintain this effortless state without retreating to a cave? In the third and final part of this series, I am going to give you the exact actionable blueprint. I am going to share the daily operational practice of what I call the art of alchemical subtraction. It is a proprietary method for stripping away the invisible psychological weight, mental clutter, and modern noise in real time. It is the ultimate mental architecture for maintaining an unbreakable mind, not by adding new habits, but by systematically dissolving what doesn't belong. You have the raw material. Now we are going to refine the design through pure elimination. Subscribe so you don't miss the finale. Drop a comment below, tell me what is the one thing your manager ego is most afraid to subtract from your life right now. Until next time, stay grounded, stay aware, and remember, the gold is already inside you.